So episode number 18, it's 10, 5, and 8. These are getting to be quite handfuls. Episode number 18 of the $1 Million Case Study. Surely by now you've at least seen one or two of these, but we're giving you a raw, unfiltered look on what it takes to build a physical products business, grow it to $1 million in revenue. You guys get to follow along with every step along the way, and we're donating all of the profits to Pencils of Promise. Hopefully by the end of it, we'll have built 5 schools in developing countries. And what's even cooler for you guys is you guys can follow along, get to see what it takes to build a business like this, and hopefully replicate it for yourself or do much better than we are. So today's episode is a little bit different than what we've been doing in the past. The past has been a lot of strictly Amazon focused stuff. And when we're talking to a lot of the people who follow along with this case study, they've told us, the things that are holding them back from getting started, why they haven't built this $1 million business yet. And something that we hear, time and money. They're like the two by far the biggest things. So today we're going to talk about, you can't create more time, but we're going to talk about how to use your time more effectively, specifically how it relates to your Amazon business. So hopefully you guys, I know a lot of you are parents, mothers and fathers, or you have full-time jobs, or, we're all busy people. We have all these other time commitments. So, how can you use the few hours of spare time that you do have to effectively start and grow one of these businesses? So we put together a slide deck. I'm going to show you some of the tips and tricks and hacks that I've been using, and would also like to share with you guys how the Jungle Snugs are coming along. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we are going to get started. So like I said, session number 18, we're going to go over time management, productivity hacks, specifically to how it relates to Amazon sellers. But before we do, I'm going to show. We're going to start with our social media giveaway. So if you guys have been following along, you know that every week we're doing a giveaway, and we're going to be doing it for every week of all of 2017. So the winner from last session, is Sylvester. And this is a very powerful story. So I'm going to go ahead and read it to you guys real quickly, even though it's kind of long. But it says, "Hello, everyone. Sylvester from Nigeria. He had a bachelor degree, but unfortunately couldn't find a decent job in Nigeria. In 2012, so 5 years ago, he had the opportunity to attend an e-commerce seminar. He kind of got hooked on it, but he didn't have enough money to start the business. So he started looking for other ways to make money online without the investment, till no avail. He found a way to get started on Amazon, but unfortunately found out that Amazon actually didn't accept sellers from Nigeria, which I wasn't aware of. I thought that people could sell from any country. So he made his way from Nigeria to Italy. Is long story short here. It sounds like it was quite the travel. And now that he's there, Amazon sellers are accepted. He has stable power, electricity, internet. So his plans are going to get started. He ends it by just saying that, he's been following along with the $1 Million Case Study. He hasn't been able to get Jungle Scout Pro yet due to monetary restraints. So we'd like to have Sylvester as the winner of this week's social media giveaway. And Sylvester will be, Amelia from the Jungle Scout team will be contacting you to hook you up with your free Jungle Scout Pro extension. And if you could, we'd love to hear from you again in the future. Hopefully this is like the catalyst and the start that you need to get started in your FBA journey. And hopefully you have a lot of success for it in the future. So we also have 2 other winners for the t-shirt and the Jungle Scout Lite extension. And again, guys, Amelia will be contacting you to get you hooked up with these. Bajorn said, "The most difficult part for me was analysis paralysis. A data guy by nature, but slight fear of choosing the right product held me back from getting started. I would tell anyone that's interested to jump right in, even with a small first order, to just learn the process." And that's really good advice. I'm a big believer of that myself. So thank you for that. The winner of the JS Lite extension, the most difficult part for them has been being patient. My first product went live 4 days ago. Congratulations. It's been almost 4 months since I was introduced to TAS, which is the amazing seller. We had Scott Volker on a couple weeks ago. Scott told this particular person about Jungle Scout. They'd love to win the extension so it can help them find their next product. So congratulations, you did win it. If you'd like To be eligible to win one of the t-shirts or one of our extensions, you can enter at junglescout.com/giveaway. There'll also be a replay for this if you're watching, a link for this if you're watching the replay. And we're selecting a winner every single week for all of 2017. So if you are watching a replay or this live, don't be scared to enter, because like I said, every single week for all of 2017, we'll be picking them. So if you guys tuned in last week, we briefly showed our listing. One of the kind of the complaints I had was that we needed more lifestyle images. So we got some really good ones done. And I was actually amazed how well these turned out, because someone on the Jungle Scout team was able to take these. She doesn't have any like fancy equipment or anything. She's not a professional. I guess photography is a little bit of a hobby of hers, but far from a professional. So I think this is cool and inspiring, because any of you guys can do this. And then we're able to find an editor for these just off Fiverr, and they turned out really nice. And it's amazing how well the editing looks, because before this, there were good photos, don't get me wrong, but they look even better now that we've got them edited. So here's a few of the images. Like I said, it turned out really cute. This baby was just a friend of hers child. So it came over one morning and they took a few pictures, and they turned out really cute. This one with the little dog. Right now, that's one of our main images, and we're hoping that will increase the number of clicks we get. We kind of strategically, try to put like 2 different sized children in there. We strategically try to do something that was like a little bit different from some of our competitors to hopefully get some more clicks. And like I said, I'm really happy with how they turned out. With that being said, everyone's probably interested in how our Juggle Snugs are selling. So I'm going to switch real quick. We're going to look at Fetcher. So this is from June 3rd, the day they launched, until today. And they're doing pretty well. So this is just the white color. The white's by far our most popular right now. Yesterday, it sold 13 units, and only 1 sale was from a coupon. So that's really good. The day before, we had 7 coupons. So I've kind of been weaning off the coupons. I didn't give out any coupons today. We've already had 7 sales. So that's pretty good. That being said, we are still spending pretty heavily on our PPC. So it's not quite profitable yet, but we're pretty close to getting there. So this is the white one. It said, like I said, 13 yesterday, 7 today. Let's look at the pink and the blue real quick. So the pink's not quite as popular. 2 days ago, it had 10, 4 from a coupon. Yesterday, only 2, and we haven't seen any sales yet today. And the blue one, let's see, 4 units 2 days ago, 1 unit yesterday, and 0 today. But like I said, I haven't given out any coupons today. I was hoping for each of these to have a few organic sales, which I think they will. It's doing pretty well. If you go to Amazon right now, let's see, our main keyword is probably, let's say, hooded baby towel. So if I search for that, this is a paid ad. This is a paid ad. So we have those 2 of those top spots. And if I scroll down, it looks like we're number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're in the 9th ranking on the first page for our main keyword, which is pretty good. My goal was by the end of June to be on the first page. So we're definitely there. We're definitely on the top half of the first page. So it's getting better. Our sales kind of reflect that. And I'm hoping, it's probably a stretch to get in this top line this month, but maybe by the end of the month, we can get like in this second line. And then I think that's when we would really see our sales start to improve. But I mean, they're still doing good. We're doing over 10 sales a day or 15 sales a day or whatever, which is really good.
Hey, Greg, was that intentional to have 2 different main images?
So we're bidding on our variations separately. So this is like the white variation, and this is, I think, the pink. This is the pink one. So when you have multiple variations, you can bid on them through PPC separately. And yeah, that's the reason that we're taking up 2 different spots from the paid ads. So yeah, we'll have to think about that a little bit more, and there's room for optimization there. And actually, that next week we're going to be talking about PPC optimization a little bit more, and we'll talk about kind of these strategies. But right now, as far as like my launch goes, I'm really just trying to increase sales however I can. So yeah, that's why we're bidding on 2 different colors of variations. So I'm going to go back into my slides here. So I'm happy with how it's going. Let's see, we launched on the 3rd, so it's like 18 days old. Where do you have some good reviews? We're getting good solid sales. Everything is going to plan. I'm confident that this is going to be a successful product. Everything's going well so far. As far as the reviews go, we have 15 reviews for an average of 4.8 out of 5 stars, which is great. I don't think any of these are actually verified, which leads me to believe that all of the people that left the reviews are people who also received coupons. But that's okay. Even unverified reviews are better than no verified reviews or no reviews at all. So I'm fine with that. And then as time goes on, we make more natural sales without coupons. We'll get more real reviews. So that's coming along well. This is something that's kind of funny. I've never actually seen this happen before. So I think this was like last week, maybe on Thursday or Friday or something. We noticed we had a 1-star review, which was probably fake. The person really tore it apart. It was a verified purchase. So I guess they did purchase it, but it said stuff like let's see, where is it? It says something like the towel smelled really bad, and we've purchased a number of these off Amazon ourselves, and none of them had any smell to them. The other one was, or it said like this was like, what's it say? It was a gift for the nephew, but they also washed it. So they washed it and it ripped at the ear after being hand washed. It's like, would you really wash a towel before you gave it to your nephew as a present? Probably not. So this actually probably was one of our competitors. And I've actually pretty much like never had this happen to me before, where I think like a competitor is leaving a bad review. So I don't know. Maybe this actually is just like someone who kind of is hating on the $1 million case study. I'm not quite sure. But what's even crazier is as of like Monday this week or something, the review was gone. So I guess Amazon maybe somehow identified, maybe they saw or somehow connected that this review came from someone who was also selling a competing product. I don't exactly know how this happened because I've never seen this before. But yeah, I just want to share it with you guys. These are kind of the, selling on Amazon. You'll like run into kind of little things like this happening.
Sure.
But
well, interestingly, I was kind of keeping an eye on that as well. And I did see there were probably 4 or 5 comments to call out that person as a fake review. And I probably voted as unhelpful as well.
Yeah, so I guess I don't know. I guess if reviews have enough unhelpful votes or enough like comments that are calling out or something, maybe Amazon takes that into account. I don't really know, but yeah, it was pretty cool. Like we didn't really like report this review or anything to Amazon. I was just like, it'll be fine. We'll get plenty more like 5-star reviews. I wasn't worried about it, but yeah, it's pretty cool. It's gone. If it is $1 million case study hater, they're probably watching this like, okay, wait till next week. I'll get another one up there. Last week I told you guys I started AMS ads, Amazon Marketing Services. I noticed that the time I switched to Amazon Right Now and searched for it, it didn't show up, but it normally does. So this is pretty cool. If you search like hooded baby towel or a lot of other search terms that we selected, this whole top row right here is our ad. And it says like your baby's delicate skin deserves a luxury towel. It has cute little images of the babies. We'll talk about this a little bit more next week, how it's performing, because it's a little bit early to tell right now. However, the clicks have been pretty reasonable as far as cost goes. Our conversions still aren't fantastic yet, but we can talk about that more a little bit next week. But, like right now, if I search hood baby towel, it's like we had this whole thing at the top, and then we had this guy and this guy. So it's like, man, like we're taking up a lot of real estate there at the top, which is exactly what I want when I launch, because I'm trying to like really do anything I can to force sales and let Amazon know I have a good product and start organically ranking it well. So I kind of started talking about this towards the beginning of the webinar, but like I said, we talk to a lot of new sellers. We see what you guys write to us in the chat box, all this kind of stuff. And what we realized was a lot of people, what was holding them back was the amount of time they had to spend on this. And that's what we want to help you with more today. The other thing is money was holding people back. Unfortunately, it does take some capital to get started in this game. Inventory does cost money. I don't have a whole lot of tips to help you guys with that, besides maybe some side hustles to kind of help you guys build up some capital to invest in this business, or maybe you can be more diligent about saving. So that's one thing I can't help you on as much. The time we're going to help you with today. And as far as the knowledge and education, that's the other thing that people say is holding them back. They're too scared. They feel like they don't know what they're doing. And the $1 million case study should be the solution for this. We're telling you guys everything you need to know to launch one of these businesses. We're not holding anything back. We're sharing the ups and the downs, the goods, the bads, everything with you guys. So by following along with this case study, you have all the knowledge and education you need to launch a product. So don't feel like, so that shouldn't be holding you guys back anymore. So like I said, we're gonna be talking a little bit about, how we can't make more time in a day, but what we can do is we can use our time more effectively by organizing the tasks that need to get done, by prioritizing them, figuring out what it takes, what are the highest leverage tasks in my business that help me scale up, and ultimately to do more and better by working in less time. So a lot of you guys don't know, or some of you might know this about me. A lot of you guys don't, but I used to have a corporate job a few years back. I was a civil engineer. That's what I went to college for. When I got out of college, I did the same thing most people did, got like a real corporate job, didn't like it, wanted a kind of more of an entrepreneurial path. I wanted to have more time and freedom of how I spent my time. So I was able to start selling on Amazon while I worked that job. Once I quit, my wife and I, we actually sold all of our possessions and started traveling. Since then, we've been to 7 continents and like 30, maybe 40 different countries. And what's so cool about that is that's like the freedom that selling on Amazon gave me then and still gives me today. Is it's something that you can do from anywhere. You don't have to be tied down anymore. It's a system. It's a true system that makes money for you by not exchanging your hours for dollars. Back when I was an engineer, this is something that I really realized that even if you become like a senior engineer and I was going to start like my own engineering practice or whatever, I was still exchanging these hours for dollars. So maybe I could charge $200 or $300 or $400 an hour, but I could never. If I was in Antarctica or whatever else, or some of these other places, I wouldn't be making money then because I wasn't working the hours and, to exchange for like my hourly rate. So it's one of the best decisions that I made. And throughout this whole journey, I've learned quite a bit about how I can most effectively use my time so that, because now I still have my FBA business going on. We have 4 different apps. Jungle Scout's grown into a 30-person company. So I have a lot going on in my life. I'm married. We're still traveling. So I have a lot of things going on. So I just wanted to kind of tell you about this and share this with you to let you know that, I understand where you're coming from when you're very busy. I'm very busy myself. And a lot of these have helped me to use my time most effectively, leverage it the best that I can to grow these businesses.
Hey, Greg, you're going to tell us what your favorite place in the world is?
Oh man, that's a tough question. Bali is actually probably my favorite spot. That's where this picture was taken on one of that's a top of a volcano in Bali. That's probably one of my favorite places right now. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more specifically about Amazon businesses and how much time do they take? How much time do you need? So the beginning part, the part that a lot of you guys are in right now, following along with this case study and watching this, is the whole area as far as like getting started. So the product research, the product sourcing, importing it, doing your packaging design, communicating with the suppliers, all that kind of stuff is by far the most time-intensive process. I've done it a bunch of times now, so I can do it a lot more like effective or efficiently. But I figure if you're doing that for the first time, this will probably take you about 40 hours. So that's a significant amount of time. That's a full work week for people who also have very busy lives. But if we also think about it, okay, like that's maybe we devote 5 days on weekends, or 2 weekends and a couple hours after work, a couple days a week, which is enough time to get one of these started. Or if you're like I was back when I used to be an employee and a bad employee, maybe you have a few hours during work that you can spend on this. Just don't tell your boss. So the beautiful thing about it is most of this time is upfront. Okay. So like after you found your product, after you found your manufactured, after you've hooked up with a freight forwarder and you've done all that, the rest of it is pretty easy and systematized. As we see down here, like the PPC, the marketing, the listing optimization, the reordering your inventory, some of those things on an ongoing basis only take like a couple hours a month, which is really nice. So, and I'm gonna talk a little bit later in a few more slides. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about what kind of things you need to be thinking about on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. But first, let's just talk about like how can you achieve these goals? How a lot of you, if you're watching this, maybe you're thinking, okay, like I really want one of these businesses. I really want to create these systems that generate money for me without actually exchanging my hours for it on an ongoing basis. So I'm a huge fan of setting goals, focusing towards those, and just-in-time learning. And what I mean by just-in-time learning is if you don't have a product, if you haven't even found what product you're going to sell yet, don't watch next week's $1 million case study where we talk about PPC optimization, because you don't need to worry about that yet. If you haven't found what product you're going to sell and you haven't found a factory to get it, you don't have to be worrying about PPC yet. It's not that hard. You can worry about it later. And while your product's being manufactured and being shipped to the States or wherever you're selling from, you'll have plenty of time to figure that stuff out. So just remember where you're at in the whole process. And it's perfectly okay. And I highly recommend to just learn what you need to know for that specific step. So if I found my factory, my products being manufactured, then I could start talking to freight forwarders and getting quotes for it and doing that kind of stuff. Once it's being shipped, maybe it's on a boat from China, that gives me a month to learn how to set up a listing on Amazon and figure out PPC and figure out all that kind of stuff, right? You don't have to learn everything from the beginning. You can learn just once you get to that step. And that's what I'm a huge fan of. So as you guys probably saw in previous episodes, if you watched them, I've set goals like this myself. I've shared these goals with you. That helps keep me accountable. So maybe that's something that you guys could utilize as well. Put goals on a calendar, maybe share them with your spouse or a friend or an accountability partner to help keep you accountable. Say, okay, I haven't found a product yet, but by the end of this month, I'm going to choose a product to sell. Maybe it's not the perfect product, but you know what? Even a product that's a 9 out of 10 is better than not having any product at all. So set goals and then live by them. A few of the ways that are a few little like tips or tricks or hacks that I use to be most productive is I try to plan beforehand. I'm making a list. I'm saying, okay, like what do I need to do this week on the Juggle Snugs listing? What's important right now? And so, like what is important right now on the Jungle Snugs listing? Okay, like improving our listing is good. So we worked on those lifestyle images, which is a good first step. Optimizing my PPC is good. That's why we're doing that with you guys next week. Like what, I guess for me, it's like, what do I need to do to make my listing more profitable and get ranked in one of those top few results organically so that I'm, selling these products for a long time. So, I guess at the end of the day, that's what I'm after. I'm after a good organic ranking for my product so that it sells for, a long time to come. We'll be going over a few of these other things in a little bit deeper. This is a pretty cool thing that I learned from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. We can be thinking about what's urgent and important, what's not urgent and important. Quadrant 3 and 4 would be urgent and not important, and quadrant 4, not urgent and not important. Quadrant 4, you probably need to be thinking about not doing those at all. Quadrant 3, if you're maybe in the product research stage, quadrant 3 would be, something, if you're in the product research phase, something that is urgent might be to make a list of 10 product ideas and validate them. Okay. That would actually probably be more quadrant one, but you kind of get the idea. You can be thinking about these things a little bit more. And then in the bottom quadrants, like 3 and 4, these can be things that you need to be thinking about delegating or outsourcing to other people. We're going to go to this a little bit more later, but like VAs are great sources for this. Yeah. So actually, like quadrant 3, a good example of that would have probably been more like replying to one of my Amazon customers' emails asking me like, hey, whatever, what's the return policy on this or whatever. It's urgent. I need to do it pretty quickly, but it's not that important of a task. That's not that high value of a task in my Amazon business. So you need to be, if you're serious about this, if you want to get these businesses started, you need to be focusing on answering the question, what do I need to do to sell more products? Or what do I need to do to become more profitable? At the end of the day, that's like your bottom line, right? Like selling more products and becoming more profitable on those products, and let that guide your priorities. So another great example, like an Amazon buyer asking me, what's the return policy, or something else, other kind of like trivial question specifically for my Amazon business. That's not that important of a thing. And that's not really going to help me sell more product, right? To be completely honest with you, like with Amazon, the relationship that you're like, you don't really build relationships with these customers, right? So that's not really like that important. That's totally different from like Jungle Scout, where we are building relationships with all these customers. We take like customer support very seriously. But to be completely honest, like for the Jungle Snugs business, customer support isn't as important for that unless it's going to like lead to a bad review, because we're not really building relationships with these customers on Amazon that are going to come back and like they're probably not going to come back and purchase more of them. So that's a little bit of like an example there. So with an Amazon business, with our Jungle Snugs business, we can be thinking a little bit about daily, weekly, and monthly priorities. So the daily priorities, once you're up and selling, these actually don't even have to be done on a daily basis. This could just be like a few days a week. But there are things about like, okay, let's just check my sales. Is everything going as planned? I'd not recommend checking your sales 20 times a day like most people do, because that can be a huge time suck. But I know a lot of people enjoy that. I'm also thinking about, okay, like where am I ranking for my main keywords? Is everything kind of going to plan there? I don't worry too much about the competitors, but I am thinking a little bit about the competitive landscape. Maybe 6 months from now, have my competitors really stepped up their game? Are they including like more bonuses or this or that? If so, maybe I need to be thinking about how to adjust my product so I stay competitive and I stay like the best product on there. And then with Amazon, you do need to respond to the customer emails. Amazon starts to, I think, kind of like ding you if you have like bad customer support, and they say that's over 24 hours. So it is something you need to do. You need to respond to customer emails about. Thankfully, most customers ask Amazon directly questions as opposed to the seller, you. So you don't get that many emails. I think at the beginning of this year, I checked how many emails I got from Jungle Snugs in 2016. And I think it ended up being like 100. It was like one every other day. So, that's only like 5 minutes a week. And actually, a lot of those were out of office replies. So thankfully, you don't get too many. What I'm thinking about on a weekly basis for my Amazon business is the pay-per-click campaigns. Are they profitable? If not, do I need to be adjusting my bids? And again, we're going to go over this more in depth next week. And then I need to be thinking about my inventory levels. Do I have enough inventory in stock? Can I potentially be running out of stock? If not, I need to place a reorder. And again, that's pretty quick, just to shoot a message off to your supplier and ask for 1,000 more units or however many. And then more on like a monthly basis, this would be more like big picture things that aren't as important or urgent. Would be, be looking at your reviews. Are you acquiring them relatively quickly? If not, maybe you need to be thinking about switching up your follow-up email campaigns. Are my returns kind of at normal levels? If not, are there specific issues with the quality or the product? If so, I need to be talking about to my supplier to fix those. And then, of course, I need to be looking at like my P&L statement in Fetcher. I need to be looking at my overall profit margins. Is this a successful business? Is this a successful product? That kind of thing. So again, why don't you hop in here? You're a super productive guy yourself. Why don't you give us a few tips and maybe take over a couple slides?
Sure. Yeah, avoid multitasking. I mean, granted, I am a kind of a sucker for any time, a headline reads like how to be more productive in less time. So I read through a lot of those. Pretty much unanimously, the first thing to do is not multitask. I think multitudes of studies show that it's actually physically impossible for our brain to manage these multiple tasks at one time. So there are a couple things that I do to do that, because 99% of my time is in front of the computer. One, for example, I like to write. I like to block out the internet, because the internet's constantly dinging and grabbing for your attention. So I like to write in Microsoft Word. Word has a pretty cool feature where you can actually view in focus. So it basically takes up the whole screen. And I think that that's actually really helpful, just to like have one thing on your screen, and instead of these constant pings. Another that I actually heard from you and somebody else on the team was called Magnet. Kind of like a nice way to allocate your screen, so that it's just easier to organize your thoughts, kind of like compartmentalize. And then related to that, another app that I heard from somebody on the team is called Duet. So I have an iPad. I only have one computer. I don't have the luxury of a big monitor all the time. So what this app does is called Duet, D-U-E-T. Basically allows you to connect your iPad to your laptop, so you have a second monitor. They say it doubles your productivity. That might be hard. I don't know if it's 100% improvement on my productivity, but it is kind of nice, again, similar to that app Magnet, to just have something dedicated to one particular task. And the last thing, I also do like to work kind of like in focused bursts of work. So Pomodoro technique, which I think you mentioned before, is basically just doing one thing for 25 minutes and then break for 5 minutes. There are tons of free apps to kind of like help you do this, to set your timing. You can even just use a timer on your smartphone. But Forest is a little Chrome extension that I guess they kind of like make it whimsical and cute, so you can grow a tree in the 25 minutes that you have allocated to one task. But that kind of all is encompassed by avoiding multitasking, which is kind of one of the priorities I keep in mind for maintaining productivity.
One other thing, it's a good little tip that I found for productivity, is going into like do not disturb mode. So any of the Apple products have this, like if you swipe up on your phone, you can put like do not disturb. It's the little moon. And then I didn't realize this for the longest time, but also I don't think you guys can see this part on my monitor, but if you click over like on the right-hand side on a Mac, you can also turn that on do not disturb mode. So then you no longer get any of the notifications. So you can be a little more focused, and because of that, a little more productive. So that really helps if you're trying to do these like these tasks that require a lot more concentration. This is a great quote. Again, I think you were the one to find this. If you eat a live frog first thing in the morning, you can go through the rest of your day knowing the worst is behind you. And this same thing relates very much, like if there's a certain part that you're dreading when building your Amazon business, why don't you go ahead and get that knocked out first? It's, usually, especially like when you're just getting started on something, you have the most energy, the most kind of like mental capacity. And that really helps doing the things that you don't like as much or a little bit harder to you. This is something that I think a lot of Amazon sellers need to be taking advantage of, and that's outsourcing tasks that they either don't enjoy or not good at or don't have time for. So two great places to do so affordably is on Fiverr or on Upwork. Fiverr is more so built on like small gigs. So it might be like remove the background from my photo, edit my photo, do this or that, like specific gigs already set up. And then if you're looking for someone like a contractor more on, it can be on a project basis as well, but it also works well for like a long-term basis. You can find them on Upwork. And a lot of people don't realize this, but there's a lot. So Upwork is a global company. There's people working on there from all over the world. And what's fantastic about that is you can really leverage exchange rates and just the cost of living by hiring people like in these lower cost area, lower cost nations to do work from you. So there's a lot of like qualified VAs, especially from the Philippines. That's one of the best areas to find like English speaking people for a low cost who will happily do work for $3 or $4 an hour, because that's like twice as much as what they could get paid as a local rate. Now, I will say something about this real quickly. And that's, I think a lot of people think that, oh, I'm just going to hire someone for $3 an hour and I'll have them start and run and grow and do everything from like my whole FBA business. And that's not quite the case. Okay. So, I mean, like anyone, first of all, you know, that's very difficult to expect out of anyone from any country, you know, like with any amount of experience, right? But what you can do, what does work well is, for example, I keep using this as an example, but like answering your customer support tickets. Like I said, for Amazon specifically, in my opinion, that's not like a super high value thing. And that's something that someone from the Philippines could do like really well. Another example is maybe like you're not good at PPC and you find someone on Upwork. They're probably going to charge more if they're really good at Amazon PPC. But again, maybe you hire someone off Upwork to go in there once a week and manage some of your PPC spend or PPC ads. So, I mean, you can find people on there to do anything, to create your listing or edit your photos or take your photos or anything else. So this is a great thing to, you know, hiring people to do little projects like this for you can be very affordable now that it's like easy to find these people. So it's a great thing to do if like you're hung up on something in your business and you need a little help to get onto the kind of the next step.
Greg, can I share a little caveat there? Should go without saying, but with Fiverr, you might see people who will get you product reviews or do things that are specifically against Amazon's terms of service. And then it goes without saying, yeah, just don't do that. Last year, there was actually a lawsuit, I think against Fiverr and some of the people that were doing that. But that's putting your whole business at risk, suspension of your seller account, just things that you don't want to do. So Greg's been really good about advocating doing everything within the terms of service that Amazon lays out very explicitly. And so I would not get tempted by any of the services that Fiverr might offer that violates that terms of service.
Great point. And at some point, guys, and this is probably the case for a lot of you perfectionists, if you haven't gotten started, you need to focus on getting started and just understand that there's a lot of unknowns for you and it might not be perfect. And, you know, you might wake up thinking, oh, there's one more little thing I could do to improve it. But at some point, you guys, you just have to get started if you want to create these businesses and scale these businesses. You know, like I didn't wait for our professional lifestyle images to get taken, right? I went ahead and put up the crappy images we had, and then I put up a little bit better images. We're still getting professional images taken. Actually, that reminded me, we just got a Dropbox link like 5 minutes before the webinar started. I'll share those with you guys real quick when it's over. So yeah, I didn't wait for those to launch my listing, right? I launched it early, and I encourage you guys to do the same. To, at some point, you just have to get started, just have to ship it, just have to understand that it's good enough. And what the beautiful thing about the Amazon listings is you can always change parts of that of your listing, right? It's not like it's set in stone forever. You can always change the text and the images and everything else. All right. So these are a few of the tools that I use that help me be more productive and that I could recommend to you guys. WeChat's fantastic for communicating with suppliers. And I realized this when I did one before about, saying that like I communicate with suppliers on WeChat or on Skype. I exclusively communicate with suppliers through text messaging. Okay. I think I gave people the impression when I said I communicate with them on Skype that it was like a video call, and that's not the case. I'm just doing so with text. So I use WeChat and Skype to communicate with suppliers. Slack's really great to communicate with your team. If there's other people that you're working with, everyone at Juggle Scouts has switched over to using Google Docs. So that'd be like Google Sheets, Google Slides, that's what I'm using right now. It's really nice, especially if you're collaborating with people who are, not in the same locations with you. I really like Trello as far as project management goes. It's totally free. It's really nice. If you do a little Googling, you can see like a lot of kind of like productivity hacks you can use with Trello, different ways you can set it up. And then of course, I have to give all of our FBA tools a shout out because of course I'm using them to help manage my FBA business. So I just put those there. If you're looking for more education besides the $1 million case study, we have a few recommendations for you guys. Of course, my buddy Scott Volker. This is, in my opinion, the best FBA podcast resource. He puts out podcasts 3 times a week that are all really high quality. He has on really high quality guests. He's an Amazon seller himself. He's also very inspirational and easy to talk to or easy to listen to. So I would recommend that. And we have a few other resources here. I'm not going to read through all of them that are other just high quality e-commerce resources or just podcasts that I really enjoy and I keep up on. So those are some of the good ones. A couple of my favorite books that I just thought I would share with you real quick. Rework by Jason Fried. It's really good. He challenges a lot of kind of like conventional wisdom on how people are working, on kind of like what's important, that kind of thing. So I'd highly recommend reading that or listening to the Audible book if you haven't. Good to Great is another fantastic book. I think this is one of Gen's favorites as well. We can definitely recommend to you guys.
What I think is kind of appropriate for us as Amazon FBA sellers with Rework is like now people might be kind of allured by large venture rounds or financing from venture capitalists, but Rework is really more about like, starting small and starting with, just growing incrementally in a natural pace that you don't require deep pockets in order to build something awesome, which we're seeing with Jungle Sticks and Jungle Snugs.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think a lot of the people watching this can really resonate with that as well. Like most of them probably aren't thinking about going out to raise money to start these businesses. So yeah, that's a great point, Gen. That very applicable for us. With that being said, guys, I'm going to show you these pictures real quickly. And then we do have time for a few questions before we wrap it up. So these are the photos that we got done by a professional photographer. It's called the Product Photography Studio. And these have not been edited yet. So please bear in mind that when you're looking at them. But I'm just going to go through them real quickly just to show you guys. I thought a lot of them turned out really well. The baby models they got are very cute kids. So I think they look really good. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through some of these real quickly. There's a girl with the pink one, a boy with the blue one. They did some bubbles in the photos that look pretty cool, little rubber duckies. So he sent these over to us, and then we were gonna choose a few of our favorites, and then he was gonna actually edit them. So like I said, these haven't been edited yet, so he's gonna clean up the coloring and remove the background for the ones that we want to do it to, and so forth. But the idea from these images was, hopefully when people are looking at our listing, it's probably mostly going to be children's parents. We want to, like part of marketing or marketing tells us that we want happy children. We want pictures that parents feel like they can like resonate with. That we specifically asked for this angle, like a mother holding their child. Hopefully that gives mothers or fathers looking at a listing kind of like this feeling of like, oh, like, look, this baby looks happy. I don't know, maybe after the bath, my kid won't be crying because she loves this pink bunny rabbit little towel. So yeah, I thought they turned out well. So now we just have the tough part of choosing. Let's see, I think I've gone through all of them now. We just have to choose a few of our favorites, and then you'll see those up on our listing shortly. So with that being said, again, what kind of questions do we have?
Well, first one I see is from Green Sequoia. Is there job opportunities at Jungle Scout? Will it be remote?
Yeah, good question. We are hiring for a couple of positions right now. If you go to the Jungle Scout website under the About Us section, you can see that we do have 2 or 3 job openings that may be applicable for you.
Cool. So does the ability to change your listing increase with being brand registered? So if you are or aren't, which elements are you still able to change?
That's a really good question. So this is actually a little bit of a funny thing. So with Amazon, keep in mind that like you as a seller don't like own a listing. Like this is Amazon's listing, even if you created it. You just like you can think of it as like you did them a favor, you created them this listing, and then you can sell your product on there. Okay. Now, the ability to edit listings is a funny thing that they don't go into much detail about. There's no like hard and fast rules. If you are brand registered, you shouldn't have any you shouldn't have any problem changing your listing. But even if you're not brand registered, like I've made a whole bunch of changes to our listing and we're not brand registered. If you create the listing, then I think oftentimes they'll accept your changes to it. Now, let me give you a little tip here. If I'm just editing my listing through like the normal spot inside Seller Central, sometimes it doesn't work. And they don't, what's frustrating is they don't tell you when it doesn't work. So I might like make a change to my description or my photos or whatever. I submit them and they'll give you a message that says like, okay, if these changes are accepted, then they'll be live within 15 minutes. Well, I check back 15 minutes later and they didn't take them. But if you go into the help section and select the one that's like, I need help changing my listing, and then make the changes through there, it seems like that almost always works. If that doesn't, then you can email support. You can ask for like listing control, try to explain to them that, hey, I'm the owner of this brand. I'm the only one selling it. And then I've like more often than not, then people will be able to change your listing. But long story short, I guess the question was, does brand registry help? Yes, that like pretty much guarantees you'll always have control over changing your listing. But even without it, if you create the listing, you can like 99% of the time change it.
Nice. We have a question from Samantha P. She says, I have a custom product that I created with a supplier in China, and now they can't produce it fast enough. Sounds like a nice problem. Lead time is 45 days. Do I attempt to start over with another supplier or hold out? I had to pay DHL to get the order here to have it in a timely manner, but I want to be able to ship it in the future. But then I have to plan 2.5 months in advance.
Yeah, it's a frustrating thing when dealing with suppliers. If you're happy with the quality of this, I actually probably would not look for a new supplier, because I'd say 30 to 45 days is average and like what you should expect for getting products manufactured in China. Maybe really complicated products might even take longer than that, like 2 months. But it's pretty rare to find a factory that can make a production run for you in less than a month, and 45 days is pretty common. So if you like the quality of the supplier and they're easy to work with, I'd probably stick with them. And inventory management gets easier the longer your listing's up, because then you understand like how many units this product's selling. You understand the seasonality of it. You've made money, so you can invest more money in larger purchases, so you have more inventory as kind of like padding. But yeah, those are my tips for you.
All right. So yeah, we have a good one from Persephone. Off the subject, but what do you do if the factory you want to purchase your product from is selling the product that you're wanting to sell? Is it a good idea to proceed?
I'm assuming you're saying they're also selling it on Amazon.
So basically, yeah, the seller is selling direct on Amazon. I'm sorry, the supplier is.
I would probably go ahead and proceed. I don't know why that's really any different than just a competitor who's ordering it from probably like the same supplier, right? Like there's probably other people selling jungle snugs. We're actually quite confident of it from our same supplier. So I don't know. Maybe that's like really our supplier and not just like another private label seller like me. I don't know. But I'm not too worried about it, right? Like we've talked about before, Amazon's like this huge pie. We just want one little piece of it. There's like 5,000 of these hooded baby towels being sold every month. We only want like 500 of those sales, like 10% of them. So, if my factory also sells them on Amazon and gets another 10%, I don't care. That's fine.
All right. So this one comes from Nathan Young. He says, I've given 30 plus products out on JumpSend, but I haven't gotten any organic sales yet. Should I be looking at a bad listing, keywords, etc.? I guess basically, how can he ramp up organic sales if he's done his promotion?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think you should be looking at like I'd probably be looking at your organic ranking for your main keywords. So after giving away those 30 units on JumpSend, where are you ranked at? Are you still lost on like page 5 or 10 or whatever? If so, you need to be thinking about doing more promotions. That either means giving away like more units on JumpSend, or maybe increasing your PPC spend. Or maybe you need to make sure that you're even like indexed for these keywords. So yeah, that's what I'd be looking at. Like, where are you ranked organically? How would customers not on JumpSend be able to find you? Would they be able to find you? Are you like on the first page for some good search terms? Do you have PPC running? That kind of thing. If the answer to all those is yes, you are like ranking well, you do have PPC running and stuff, then you need to be thinking about what can you do to improve conversions once they land on your listing. So there you can be thinking about like better pictures, better description, maybe calling out your competitive advantage, why you're better than some of the competitors. Those are the things I'd be thinking about if I was you.
Sure. And just to recall, when we had Andrew Brown from Splitly, he said really focus on your main product images to get the click-through rate, to get them on your listing, and then also your pricing. So maybe people are more or less price sensitive. So take a look at the competition as well. So this from Andy Nunes. He asks, do you use or recommend any tools for project planning beyond Trello to project out financial investment, revenue, costs, etc.?
Good question. So I don't use any other kind of like accounting tools for planning like cash flow or anything like that besides Fetcher. It's the only one that I'm using for profit analytics and accounting stuff. So no, sorry, I don't have any recommendations for you.
All right. From Green Sequoia, a little question about an Amazon policy change. She recently came across a source saying that Amazon now only indexes 250 characters on back-end keywords. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's a good point. And from what I understand, that is true. However, I don't know what like the big fuss is about. So I mean, like all my main keywords are going to be included in my title, my bullet points, my description, all these other areas that are publicly seen and indexed by Amazon. So I mean, like, who really cares if they're only indexing 250 instead of like 3,000 keywords in the back? Because those aren't really like that important of keywords to me anyway. Those are just ones it's like, okay, I couldn't quite fit these in my huge long description, so I'll throw them back here. So yeah, it's true, but put all your most important keywords in your title and your listing anyway.
All right, and maybe our last question, a kind of fun one from Amelia. Amelia, you might know. What was your first product on Amazon?
My first product on Amazon was in the patio, lawn, and garden category. It's still live on Amazon, so I'm not going to share it because I don't want to see you guys to maybe like leave one of those bad reviews like someone else has. But it was a patio, lawn, and garden product. That was my first private label product, and it's still on Amazon. And it has like 2,000 reviews, and it still does well. So
wow.
So yeah, with that being said, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up, guys. We do have a session next week, so that's June 28th. We'll be doing it at the same time as this week, so that's 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. If you are already signed up for this webinar, then you'll automatically get an email about it. If you haven't signed up yet, go to junglescout.com under the free resources section, look for the $1 Million Case Study, and sign up there to make sure you're notified for future webinars. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, I highly recommend you do so. it really helps us out and motivates us to keep the $1 million case study going, to continue to produce these videos. It also lets you know about some of the other videos that we create that aren't technically inside the $1 million case study. So we're doing a few other videos that help answer a lot of Amazon sellers' questions, and also some kind of like sneak peeks or behind the scenes information about Jungle Snugs and the $1 million case study. So that being said, thanks everyone for watching. Again, thank you for joining, and we will see everyone next week at the same time.
Thanks, guys.
See you later. Bye.